We're going to Hebrews chapter 1, verse 4 through verse 14, although we'll probably just focus on a couple of those verses. I mean, guys, we open up Hebrews, man. It's bombshell after bombshell. I guess you could say accusation of who Jesus is. I mean, the author of Hebrews, which is unknown to us, but is in line with the rest of Scriptures. And I mean, this guy, assuming he's a guy, guess he could have been a gal, is very smart. I mean, he just launches into why you should believe in the Son of God. And we spend a lot of time here in Midtown Sunday mornings just learning information. And at times it feels dry because it's not applicable or it's not story-filled. It's just information about Jesus that goes up here. But this is the part of the renewal of the mind process. And you've got the truth to dwell on throughout the day of who Jesus is, who you believe in, so that knowing can become knowing. You know him because he knows you. I mean, it's not a cognitive mental exercise that we're just exhibiting this morning, but it's a full-fledged, locked in assault on defeating the lies and deceits of the world that have been embedded within us, so you can be set free by the truth. But see, I mean, I have not heard of anyone who argued Jesus' existence. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there are people who deny that Jesus ever walked the earth. But what people argue and debate over is, who was he? Was he divine? Was he the Son of God? Which I'm here this morning and every Sunday morning, well, except next Sunday morning. Tom will be here to continue the message from God's Word, to tell you he is God, the exact nature, the exact imprint of his nature. But there are many who believe he's just a good teacher. He's a rabbi. He was a good mentor. But you've got to logically walk yourself through that. And just think about this. If he was a good teacher and that was it, this man that is not disputed, he was here, guys, on this earth. He was here. And he's a good teacher, and he claims to be God, then he's lying. And you can no longer classify him as a good teacher. You can't even classify him as a teacher. What makes a teacher? It's someone that has integrity, someone who has knowledge, and someone who delivers truth. And so if you take Jesus at his word, and we've got 4 books, recorded accounts that are listed in our Bibles, and there's more than that claim that these are the words he said, that he was the I am, he was before Abraham, that him and the Father are one in nature, then you can't deny that he's the Son of God, or you've got to throw him completely out of the picture. He's not even a teacher. And we believe what Jesus is saying. Most people in religions that follow Jesus to an extent will believe he's a teacher and that his sayings were good. And then the only way to get to that point is to disregard a lot of his other sayings. And so we are learning from the great teacher who he is, the Son of God. In Hebrews 1, he just jumps right into this. And we're going to read verse 4, and we're going to go through verse 14, although we're not going to hit all these verses this morning. Having become as much superior to angels as the name he has inherited is more excellent than theirs, for to which of the angels did God ever say, "You are my son, today I have begotten you"? Or again, "I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son"? And again, when he brings the firstborn into the world, he says, "Let all God's angels worship him." Verse 7, of the angels he says, he makes his angels winds and his ministers a flame of fire. But of the Son he says, "Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions." Verse 10, and you, Lord, laid the foundation of the earth in the beginning, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. they will all wear out like a garment. Like a robe, you will roll them up. Like a garment, they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will have no end. And to which of the angels has he ever said, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet? Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? There's something, he's running off the premise that you believe in angels. At least his readers believe angels exist. He's running off the premise that his readers, I'll put you in the equation, that you believe that Jesus walked this earth, that he, being Jesus, he was here. It's interesting. If you read the New Testament books, there isn't the argument that Jesus was here on this earth, that he walked on this soil, that he left footprints. There isn't that debate, there isn't that argument, there isn't that persuasion that you need to, because it was assumed. Everybody heard about him. News got around. And what Hebrews is going after, this morning we're seeing, is who he was. And how great he was. And when we bring in the other scriptures that we know, and even a little bit here in Hebrews, it reveals what you are becoming. We talked last week about Jesus being pre-cross and post-resurrection, that if you want to understand yourself and the struggles you go through, right? Some of you raised your hands as being tired. And I fit that bill. You saw me last week. And that was the result of exhaustion. And we walk through these seasons, and a lot of us, you stay in them. And you can't get yourself out of it. There's very little you can do outside of, kicking the bucket. Not just going down the street and kicking the bucket, You can also kick the bucket. You could just run away from it all. But something binds you, obligation, responsibility binds you to what you're doing in life until God directs your path elsewhere, and your faith, it carries you. But if you want to understand your struggle, look at the pre-cross Jesus. He was made in your likeness. And this is really important to get, because the post-resurrection Jesus, he was changed. He was made new. Sin could no longer impact him and affect him. He was no longer made in your likeness. Post-resurrection Jesus, he bore the glory and the image of God fully. It was no longer cloaked in humanity. It's interesting. Mary goes to touch. No, don't touch me. I've not ascended to my Father yet. This body does not belong on this earth. This body does not belong stained by the world. This is brand new. It's like your shiny car. You buy a car and someone just touches it. Don't touch that. It hasn't been dirtied yet. But pre-cross Jesus, this is where things get a little tricky, because he was perfectly righteous, the nature of God, but born in your likeness. We'll talk a little bit more about this here in a little bit. He had to be born in your likeness for the cross to have an effect on you. He had to bore the image of man so he could have, your sins could be transferred to him as if he committed them, so that his Father would be righteous and just when he punished them for your sins. He's much more than angels, though many people will have a high view of angels, but will struggle with their view of Jesus. We kind of keep him shaped in this 2 arms, 2 legs, kind of embodied person, and we forget the fact that he was the Son of God. He was God on this earth for your sake. Even the weight of that statement probably falls short to many, because it's just not given much thought. The breadth, the height, the depths of his nature are incomprehensible by finite minds. And yet, the more you can understand, the reason we just walk through Scripture week after week, because the more you understand who Jesus is, the more you understand who you've become, what you're becoming, your living hope, what you have to look forward to. And for some of you, it becomes a little bit easier to take the next step in life. Because this isn't life. This isn't the end of the road for you. This is a holding cell. This is your waiting period in the waiting room, waiting to be called. And so you move on and you move forward because you have a living hope that one day, it will all be gone. You'll be brought to your promised land. You'll be brought into paradise, into heaven, where there will be no more tears, where death and sin swallowed up forever. Iniquity is no longer to be feared. Temptation, out of the mind, out of the heart, it's gone. You don't have to wake up in the morning and wonder how you're going to fight the next battle. You don't have to wake up wondering if your relatives or loved ones are going to make it or not. It'll be taken care of. But you live in a pre-cross era where the world has its effects, to the point of even being able to nail you to a cross and take your life from you. Jesus endured it. Hebrews says, I think we can understand a little bit better when Hebrews mentions that, slipping my mind the more I think about it. You know, you get on something and it's just slowly fading away. Right, that he's gone through it all, this is massive paraphrasing going on here. That every temptation you've walked through, he's walked through. That he's gone through what you've gone through. It's not down to the detail of it, but the world impacted his fleshly body. The world had an impact on him, but, and this is the glory of the gospel, is he didn't cave in. He upheld every letter of the law for your sake. It's incredible. Verse 4, Hebrews 1, having become as much, we're talking about Jesus here, having become as much superior to angels as the name Jesus inherited is more excellent than theirs. The name he inherited is above all names. Every knee will touch the ground one day because of his name. There will not be one of you in this room that will not bow and worship the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. You will see him as he really is. And your name is his name. Your name is greater than the name angel. Your name, you are sons and daughters, is more excellent than theirs. And this isn't a little divine struggle of our egos battling each other. Oh, look at me, I'm greater than the angels. No, this is God's design. The angels were sent for you. The angels were designed for you to be your ministers. I'm getting to that, verse 5. He builds his argument. To which of the angels did God ever say, you are my son? Today I have begotten you. Children, sons, daughters, none of the... First Peter. I don't know what word just came out. It sounds like one that we just should move on from. But either way, 1 Peter, we came off 1 Peter and we ended on that statement, the angels long to look into what... Let me read it to you. Now for what I was really getting at. 1 Peter, let's go to 1 Peter here and... Alright, I'm sorry, back to where we're going. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 12, just the end of it. Oh no, let me read verse 12. It was revealed to them that they were serving not themselves but you, in the things that have now been announced to you. Peter has just got done delivering the gospel, which was, hey, the Father has called you, He's sanctified you, He's made all this happen, and then he goes into this, in the things that have now been announced to you through those who preach the good news to you by the Holy Spirit sent from heaven, things into which angels long to look. All right, so there's a little discrepancy between who you are and what an angel is. Okay? An angel's not a son or daughter. An angel did not. Jesus did not come to die for the angels. He did not give his life. The Father did not send his one and only begotten Son, that if the angels believed in him. You are my Son. Today I have begotten. Now this is about a prophecy about the Son of God. And I want to go back to the prophecy where it came from on all these, because Hebrews is full, chapter 1, full of Old Testament prophecy. And it'll do you well to see that the author of Hebrews, he's not just pulling this stuff and paraphrasing it from the Old Testament, that the Old Testament points to Jesus Christ as being the Messiah, the Son of God, for your sake. And he's establishing this foundation. It comes from Psalm 27, verse 1. I will tell of the decree, the psalmist writes. The Lord said to me, you are my son, today I have begotten you. It's weird because the psalmist says, he said to me, today you are my son. It feels like the psalmist is talking about himself, and it's applicable to the psalmist. But what the author of Hebrews is saying, and I trust him, he's probably way more educated than me or any of us in the Hebrew and the Old Testament. What the guy's saying is that this is a specific prophecy to Jesus Christ being the Son of God. Today, though, that word today throws me off. Now, okay, we're 1,500 years before Christ, and he's talking present tense. Because people get all mixed up, and I don't want you to be one of them, because the word begotten means like came from. Some people use the word birth, and they believe that Jesus Christ was birthed of Mary, and that was his beginning. And that's not the case. And in fact, this psalm tells you that's not the case, because today, when he's penning this, 1,500, 1,000 years before Jesus ever come, it was present tense, today. You see, God's removed from time. That word today indicates an ongoing thing, that the Son is begotten of the Father. He is of the Father. He is of the exact nature of the Father. He is the Son of God. Today, yesterday, and forevermore. I want to show you you get that? I'm kind of seeing some puzzled looks. I don't want you to think that Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary, and that was his beginning. And most of you know this. But some of you will encounter people who will push you on this. And you just go Psalm 27:1. He's talking present tense. The decree was present tense. The decree, when Daniel looked up into heaven and saw a son of man up in heaven, it was begotten of son. That was the Son of God. The exact imprinted nature of God, Jesus Christ, who would eventually, he would be known as Jesus to us who are not Jewish. Verse 5, we go back to Hebrews chapter 1. Or again, he just re-summarizes, he just says again what he just said. I will be to him a father, he shall be to me a son. Part of my desire as I preach to you is to engage you in critical thinking so you can leave here and think through your scriptures. Do you see the difference? Verse 5, let me go back. The beginning part of verse 5. You are my son, today I have begotten you. And the second part of verse 5. I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. Notice, it sounds the same, but they're quite different prophecies. The first one was a designation of the head that the Son of God played in we call it the Trinity, the Godhead. That the Son is subjective to his Father's will, that he is of the Father, that he and the Father, they're one, but the Son carries out the Father's request. He is a Son. And we see him in creation. Hebrews mentions it twice in chapter 1. That Jesus Christ, the Son of... We call him Jesus. Just kind of don't lock him into this little box of a man. He was God, is God, always God, who came in the likeness of man. He carried out God's desire for you to be here, and he holds you together, the Son of God, because this is the Father's will. You sit here this morning and you breathe in, you breathe out. But now this is future tense. I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. The last one was present tense. We're now looking at a future tense prophecy, which is pointing, this is really cool. I mean, it's pointing to the man Jesus. And you got to look at the context. 2 Samuel chapter 7. Okay? Let me give you the context of this prophecy. It's kind of odd, but this is really cool. So David, all right, they conquer the promised land. Well, the army's probably still out doing their little things, conquering the enemies of God. And David's chilling out in his newly built home. All right? His home is freshly built. You know what it's like, right, Tom? And you get to relax. Well, I don't know if you get to relax yet. I'm sure the boxes are everywhere. And David is leaning back in his lazy boy. And if you've been in this season of life, you know, this is hypothetical. I'm assuming this is what happened. It very well could not have gone down like this. But, you know, you go through a season of exhaustion. You're working on your house. You know, we remodeled our house. It took like 2 months, just day, night, in and out. And you just go through it. You go through it. And you look forward to that moment where you can just rest. And for me, it was sitting in my electric recliner and just chilling by the fake fireplace. And so, but I wanted that to be my restful scene, so I pulled out the concrete saw. I didn't want no wires running across the floor, and I cut up my foundation. And I lost my hearing because of it. Because the 150 decibels inside of a living room with no ear protection is a bad thing for 2 hours. And so there's a constant ringing. I just call it, God is calling me all the time. I just can never answer it. And then I went to the doctor because I couldn't hear out of one of my ears. Every time I got on the phone, I just could not hear. I'm like, I've lost my hearing thanks to the chainsaw or with the concrete saw on it. And the doctor goes, you just got to pull the plastic piece off the earpiece on your phone. You can hear just, oh yeah. The hearing was restored in that moment. He heals the deaf. The ringing is still there. And one day, but either way, so I go through all this work, I get my recliner set up. You have this moment. And this, and out of their season of exhaustion, you rest. And then you look around and ask, what else needs to be fixed? And I realized quickly it was my recliner. It was a bad idea because it's so slow coming up. And the electric recliners are very slow. If there's a fire, I'm done. Because I got to wait until my recliner folds in. You know, if a volcano was to explode and ash come down and I'd be frozen in place like that one volcano did, you'd see me like, I want to be able to get out of it. I mean, it's something about you have to wait for the recliner to fully close in before you get out of it. Don't knock, if you knock on my door and it takes me an hour, just know I'm getting out of my recliner. Either way, so back to David. So he has this moment. His house is built and he looks around and he goes, God doesn't have a house. I got to build God a house. And it sounds like a good thing. And he tells the prophet Nathan, and he says, Nathan, we can build God a house. And Nathan goes, good idea. Sounds like a great thing. And that night, the Spirit speaks to Nathan through a vision, a dream, however it happened. And God says to Nathan, no. Go tell David it's not meant for him to build. And the context of the prophecy takes place in the midst of that story. All right, so you know the story, right? You've heard it before. David doesn't build a house. Solomon does. Let's read verse 10 through verse 14, 15. And I will appoint a place. Nathan is talking to David, King David, the prophecy, the decree that came from God. Okay, now we're halfway through this decree. And I will appoint a place for my people Israel and will plant them, so that they may dwell in their own place and be disturbed no more, and violent men shall afflict them no more as formerly. Do you see what's going on here? Are they not in the promised land? Have they not found the place that God appointed to them to be their place of rest, their place of shelter? That the enemies of God would stop annoying them, where they would be disturbed no more? David is there. He's built his house, and now he wants to build God a house. And God says, you're not there yet, buddy. This promised land, this land flowing with milk and honey is not it. This is not the end result. This is not the place where you'll be disturbed no more. This is not the place that you'll dwell in your own place. This is not your place where you'll be afflicted no more by violent men. And this is why I say to you this morning, if you're tired, if you're worn out, if you're going through the rigors of this world, this is not the place. There's no perfect home out there. There's no perfect vacation. There's no getting away from it until this is established in your life. So we go on, and he keeps saying, from the time that I appointed judges over my people Israel, and I will give you rest from all your enemies. See, I thought this was the promised land. I thought this was the design of the promised land that was given to them, but it's not. Moreover, the Lord declares to you that the Lord will make you a house. David, church, sons, daughters, the Lord will make you a house. You're not going to make him a house. He's going to make you a house. You got it backwards, David. You're not here to work for him. He's here to work for you. And this house will be a dwelling place, a place of shelter from all of your enemies. No more violent men. No more affliction. A place of rest, and it's your place. It belongs to you. And the Lord is going to make it for you. Who will make it? The Lord. All caps, Yahweh. Yahweh will make you a house. Verse 12. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your fathers, I will raise up your offspring after you, who shall come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. That man that I'm talking about, I'm decreeing about, that the Lord Yahweh is saying, he shall build a house for my name. He's the one to build it. And we know Solomon comes along and builds the house. But this isn't referring to Solomon and the temple that's to come. Because this house, this home will be established, the throne of his kingdom forever. It will not be affected by the enemies of God. It will not be taken out. It will not be destroyed to be rebuilt to be destroyed again. This is not the house that this is talking about. I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. When he commits iniquity, I will discipline him with the rod of men, with the stripes of the sons of men. I was walking down to Lake Washington from my house yesterday morning, and I just read through these passages, and that just, it's like I overlooked that. When he commits iniquity, so are we talking about Jesus anymore? Because he doesn't commit iniquity. No, that's the prophecy. I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. I mean, Hebrews quotes that word for word. When the person we just talked about, that I will be to him a father, he shall be to me a son. When the son commits iniquity, I will discipline him with the rod of men, with the stripes of the sons of men. Now, we get fearful and afraid to talk about this because we don't want to misjudge Jesus. Perfect Jesus. But this is the gospel. He took on your sin. Not the words that want to come out next are as if. But that's still too separated. Because in the Father's eyes, your sin, he committed. Because this is the only way a righteous, just father can discipline and punish his son, is if his son committed the iniquity. Is if your sin transferred to him, so he committed it. It's soul-shaking, and it's mind-boggling That there's a part of me that wants to just drop this and walk off the stage because I fear I don't know what I'm talking about. But the prophecy, and I know he can't hang on a cross unless he did something wrong. Or his father is unjust. His father is unright. Well, there's the answer. He committed my sin for my sake. He did it. But then you gotta flip the coin. Because then what have you become? His righteousness. And this is the only way, therefore, you can't be punished. Because you have to be perfect, righteous, and holy. Because if you're not, then punishment awaits. But if the Son has your sin has been transferred to the Son, his righteousness has been given to you. And the Father is just and holy to punish his Son and not you. Which therefore reveals the way the Father sees you. Perfect, righteous, holy, unstained from this world, post-resurrection Jesus. The question is, do you see yourself in this manner? Given your exhaustion or your emotional estate, given the tragedies of your life and your response to them, given your failures that sit right in front of you or the ones you will encounter down the road, will you give them to Jesus? And say, thank you for your forgiveness. You took my sin as if you committed it. I remember I grew up in a good household. Dad, you may want to close your ears. I'm kidding. We got spanked. 5 of us. I mean, of course. How else are you going to control us? I remember there was one day, we were homeschooled. That was a daring thing to do. Homeschooled 4 of us. But it was, long time ago. I was like 33. It's probably like 6 or 7. We had this rocker chair in the porch. I'm getting ready to show myself as a hero. I feel like I should put that as a disclaimer. Because you don't need to think higher than me than you ought. How does this help? So I come down, so we were sitting in this rocker chair, and it was fun to sit on and swing back and forth, and we would get going as boys, and get going. I remember, and the thing would fall apart all the time. We'd just put the nuts back on and whatnot. And one day, one of us broke it. The nuts flew off, the rocker chair fell apart, and whoever did it did not put it back together. Apparently, Mom sat in the broken rocker chair, was not happy. So the question started, who broke the chair? No one confessed. And I don't know why. We would have got out pretty easily. We just said, yeah, it was me, and put the nuts back on, it'd be fine. No one confessed. Who broke it? No one confessed. Who broke it? If someone doesn't tell me who broke it, you're all getting spanked. I thought for sure the guilty party would have said something for their sake and my sake. Oh, man, we went through like 30 lashings. And I realized there was no end to it. I don't blame my mom. She did what she had to do. But I knew it was better to take the blame and one more set of blows for lying about it than to continue the beatings. And so I said, Mom, it was me. She looked at me, she knew it wasn't. She goes, go back to my room. I'm like, all right, I'll take 5 more. But you guys are free. And it was over. I mean, the situation was done. It was dealt with. Because the hero moment, right? I took upon myself their sin. Whatever rascal did it still has not confessed. But, guys, what a petty way of explaining. He bore the sins of all the children of God. If you think you screwed up so bad that God can never love you, look at his Son. Because he carried them all as if he did them all. You will never fully understand the grace of God. if someone like his Son can bear the iniquity of the world upon his shoulders, as if he did it, and the Father will never. What's the next verse? My steadfast love, it's coming. Bump over to my steadfast love will not depart from him. His steadfast love will not depart from you. Because you are the righteousness of Christ.